Chapter 37. Then Bezaleel made the ark of Shittim 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, a cubit and a half the height of it. 2, and he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold for it round about. 3, and he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set in its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side of it and 2 rings on the other side of it. 4, and he made poles of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. 5, and he put the poles into the rings by the sides of the ark to carry the ark. 6, and he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was its length, and 1 cubit and a half its breadth. 7, and he made 2 cherubim of gold. Of casting work he made them on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 8, 1 cherub on one side and the other cherub on the other side. Above the mercy seat he made the cherubim on its 2 ends. 9, and the cherubim spread out their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces. Page 110, Furniture and Decorations. One to another over the mercy seat with the faces of the cherubim. 10, and he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was its length, and a cubit its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height. 11, and he overlaid it with pure gold, and made it for it a crown of gold round about. 12, also he made for it a border of a handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. 13, and he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and fastened the rings on the 4 corners that were on the 4 feet in the 4 feet thereof. 14, over against the border were the rings, the places for the poles to carry the table. 15, and he made the poles of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold to carry the table with them. 16, and he made the vessels which were upon the table, its flagons, its spoons, its cups, its bowls, wherein the drink offering is poured out, of pure gold. 17, and he made the candlestick of pure gold, and he cast work, and of cast work he made the candlesticks, its shaft, its branches, its bowls, its buds, its flowers were of the same. 18, and 6 branches went out of its sides, 3 branches of the candlestick went out of the one side, and on 3 branches on the other side of it. 19, 3 bowls were fastened one shaft with their buds and the flowers, and 3 bowls were fastened on another shaft with their buds and flowers. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. 20, and in the candlestick were 4 bowls fastened to it with their buds and flowers. 21, and the bud under 2 branches of the same, and a bud under 2 branches of the same, likewise for 6 branches going out of the candlestick. 20, in the candlestick were 4 bowls fastened to it with their buds and flowers. 21, and a bud under 2 branches of the same, and a bud under 2 branches of the same, and a bud under 2 branches of the same, likewise for the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. 22, the buds and branches were the same, all of it one piece of molten work of pure gold. 23, and he made it 7 lamps, and its snuffers and its snuff dishes of pure gold. 24, of a talent of pure gold he made it, and all its vessels. 25, and he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it, and its horns were of the same. 26, and he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and its sides round about, and the horns of it, and he made for it a crown of gold round about. 27, and he made 2 rings of gold for under the crown, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, as places for the poles to carry it with them. 28, and he made the poles of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. 29, and he made the holy anointing oil and pure incense of sweet spices according to the work of a perfumer. 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its breadth. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits were the height thereof. 2. And he made its horns on the 4 corners of it. Its horns were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. 3. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, the cauldrons, the hanging pots, the flesh hooks, the shovels, the censers, and all its vessels he made of brass. 24. And he made for the altar a bronze grate of network halfway under the base of it. 5. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the grate of brass to be places for the poles. 6. And he made the poles of shittim wood and overlaid them with brass. 7. And he put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar to carry it with him. He made the altar hollow with boards. 8. And he placed the laver of brass and its base of brass at the assembly house for the women who came to pray at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Page 111, the wealth of the tabernacle. 9. And he made the court for the south side southward. The hangings of the court were fine twisted linen, 100 cubits. 10. Their pillars were 20, and their bronze sockets 20. Their hooks of silver, and their fillets were of silver. 11. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks and pillars and their fillets were of silver. 12. And for the west side were hanging of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. 13. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. 14. The hanging of the one side of the gate was 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their hook sockets 3. 5. And for the other side on this hand and that of the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits for each side. 3 pillars 3. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. 16. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. 17. And the sockets of the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver, and the overlaying of the capitals of silver, and all the pillars of the court were overlaid with silver. 18. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine twisted linen, and 20 cubits long, and the height and the width were 5 cubits, opposite the hangings of the court. 19. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals, and their fillets of silver. 20. And all their pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. 21. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of the testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses, and the work of the Levites under the supervision of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. 22. And Bezaleel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. 23. And with him was Eliab the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, a carpenter and a craftsman, and an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet material and in fine linen. 24. The gold that was used for the work in all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 430 shekels by the weight of the sanctuary. 25. And the silver of those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary. 26. A shekel for every head, that is half a shekel, by the weight of the sanctuary, for everyone who was included in the number, from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. $27. And the total sum was 100 talents of silver for the casting of the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil. 100 sockets were made from 100 talents, a talent for a socket. 28. And of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars and overlaid the capitals and overlaid the hooks with silver. 29. And the total sum of the brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. 30. And with it he made the sockets of the door and of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the bronze altar, and the bronze grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar. 30. And the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Page 111. The robes of the priests. Chapter 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet material they made vestments for the service to minister in the sanctuary, and they made holy vestments for Aaron and for the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. 2. And they made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twisted linen. 3. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires, to be worked in the blue, and in the purple, in the scarlet material, and in the fine linen, with artistic workmanship. 4. They made shoulder pieces for it to join it together. By the two edges was it joined together. 5. And the embroidered girdle of the ephod that was upon it was of same material, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple and scarlet material, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. 6. And they made the onyx stones, enclosed and set in work of gold, engraved as signets were engraved, with the names of the sons of Israel. 7. And they put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, that they should be stones for memorial for the sons of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. 8. And they made the breastplate of the work of an artist, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet material, and fine twisted linen. 9. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was its length, and a span its breadth, being doubled. 10. And they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was sardius, a topaz, and an emerald. This was the first row. 11. And the second row, a carbuncle, a sapphire, and a jasper. 12. And the third row, a jacinth, a carnelian, and amethyst. 13. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. And they were enclosed, and they were set in the work of gold in their enclosings. 14. And the stones were according to the names of the sons of Israel. 12. According to their names, engraved like the engravings of a signet, of signets, every one with his name according to the 12 tribes. 15. And they were made upon the breastplate chains at the 2 ends of braided work of pure gold. 16. And they made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and they put the 2 gold rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. 17. And they fastened the 2 braided chains of gold to the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplates. 18. And the 2 ends of the 2 braided chains were fastened to the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod in the front of it. 19. They made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate on the border of it, which is on the side of the ephod from within. 20. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod from within, toward the front of it, over against the door, over against the other coupling thereof, above the embroidered girdle of the ephod. 21. And they did bind the breastplate by its rings on the rings of the ephod with a cord of blue, that it might be above the embroidered girdle of the ephod, and the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. 22. And they made the robe of the ephod of fine woven work, all of blue. 23. And the opening of the robe was within it, as the hole of a coat of mail, of a binding round about the opening, that it might not be torn. 24. And they made in the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine twisted linen. 25. And they made bells of pure gold, and fastened the bells between the pomegranates on the hem of the robes round about between the pomegranates. 113. The tabernacle completed. 26. A bell of gold in a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. 27. They made coats of fine woven linen, work for Aaron and for his sons. 28. And a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and breeches of fine linen. 29. And a girdle of fine twisted linen of blue and purple and scarlet needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. 30. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it on the inscription, like the inscription engraving of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. 31. And they tied to it a cord of blue to fasten it over the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. 32. Thus all the work of the tabernacle of the congregation was finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. 33. And they brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent with all its vessels, its rings, its clasps, its boards, its pins, its bars, its pillars, and its sockets. 34. And the covering of ram skin dyed red, and the covering of badger skins, and the veil of the covering of the door. 35. The ark of the testimony and its poles, and the mercy seat. 36. The table and all its vessels, and the shewbread. 37. The pure candlestick with its lamps, and with the lamps to be set in order, and all its vessels, and oil for light. 38. And the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging of the tabernacle door. 39. The altar of brass, and its grate of brass, its poles, and all its vessels, its lave and its base. 40. The hangings of the court, its pillars, its sockets, its hanging for the court gate, its cords, its pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. 41. The vestments for the service to minister in the holy place, and the holy vestments of Aaron the priest, the vestments of his son to minister in the priest's office. 42. According to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel made all the work. 43. And Moses looked upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded Moses. Even so they had done it, and Moses blessed them. Chapter 40. And the Lord said to Moses, 2. On the first day of the first month you shall set up the tabernacle of the congregation. 3. And you shall put in it the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. 4. And you shall bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be placed upon it. No, buddy. And you shall bring in the candlestick, and the light and lamps thereof. 5. And you shall set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and fasten the hanging to the entry of the tabernacle. 6. And you shall set the altar of the burnt offering in front of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. 7. And you shall set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and you shall put water in it. 8. And you shall set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate. 9. And you shall take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle and all that is in it, and shall sanctify it and all its vessels, and it shall be holy. 10. And you shall anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all its vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. 11. And you shall anoint the laver and its base, and sanctify it. 12. Then you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tabernacle. Page 114. The tabernacle set up of the congregation, and wash them with water. 13. And you shall put upon Aaron the holy vestments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister to me in the priest's office. 14. And you shall bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. 15. And you shall anoint them, as you did anoint Aaron your brother, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. For the anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. 16. Thus Moses did according to all the Lord commanded him, so did he. 17. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the week, that the tabernacle was set up. 18. And Moses set up the tabernacle, and fastened its pegs, and set up its boards and pillars, its boards, and put in its bars, and raised up its pillars. 19. And he spread the covering over the tabernacle, and put the covering of skin over it, as the Lord commanded Moses. 20. And he took the testimony, and put in it the ark, and set up the poles in the ark, and put the mercy seat above the ark. 21. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering of the door, and covered the ark of testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. 22. And he put the table in the tent of congregation on the side of the tabernacle northward, outside the veil. 23. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. 24. And he put the candlestick in the tabernacle of the congregation over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward. 25. And he lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. 26. And he put the golden altar in the tabernacle of the congregation in front of the veil. 27. And he burned sweet incense upon it as the Lord commanded Moses. 28. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. 29. And he put the altar of burnt offering at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meal of offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. 30. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash with. 31. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet at it. 32. When they went into the tent of the congregation, when they had come near to the altar, they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. 33. And he set up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. 34. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. 35. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode upon it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. 36. And when the cloud was lifted up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel started onward in all their journeys. 37. But if the cloud was not lifted up, then they did not journey till the day that it was lifted up. 38. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and the fire was upon it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys.